Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. It's the mid-1950s. You're in a shiny diner with chrome stools, a jukebox playing Elvis or Buddy Holly, milkshakes frothing at the counter, and waitresses sliding plates across the counter with a smile. The world feels hopeful. Suburbs are growing, cars are bigger, television is finding its way into living rooms, and America is learning how to dream again after the hardships of World War II. But along with the optimism came a strange culinary chapter. Housewives armed. With glossy recipe cards, advertisements pushing modern convenience foods, and a national obsession with Jell-O and canned goods gave birth to some of the weirdest, most unforgettable foods in American history. These dishes weren't just meals. They were symbols of progress, pride, and sometimes questionable taste. So today, on the America We Forget, we're taking a nostalgic and slightly horrified trip back in time to count down the top 10 weirdest foods people ate during the 1950s. Some will make you laugh, some will make you cringe, but all of them will make you remember that America's dinner table has always been a little adventurous. 10. Perfection salad. We start with a dish that really sets the tone. Perfection salad. Don't let the name fool you. This so-called salad was anything but perfect. Imagine shredded cabbage, carrots, celery, and pimentos, all suspended inside a lime Jell-O mold. Yes, a green, jiggly prison of vegetables, quivering its way onto dinner tables across America. This was considered fancy. Hostesses would proudly bring it out at luncheons or potlucks, placing it in the center of the table as if it were a crown jewel. Guests would politely scoop a portion onto their plate, watching the wobbling cabbage jiggle like it was alive. And the strangest part? People genuinely thought this was progress. To them, the miracle of gelatin was a way to show you were modern, up-to-date, and creative in the kitchen. Of course, kids looked at it with wide eyes, praying Mom wouldn't make them eat it. But perfection salad wasn't about flavor. It was about status. And in the 1950s, jellied vegetables were weirdly glamorous. 9. Liver loaf. Sliding in at number 9 is a dish that was supposed to be healthy, but ended up being unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. Liver loaf. Now, liver has always had a love-it-or-hate-it reputation, but in the 1950s, frugality and nutrition collided to create this dense, grayish brick of ground liver baked into loaf form. Mothers served it proudly, slicing it up like meatloaf and presenting it as good for you because it was loaded with iron. But to children, this was the stuff of nightmares. The smell was strong, the texture was heavy, and the flavor, well, let's just say kids often tried to sneak it under mashed potatoes or slip it to the family dog. Still, in a decade where thrift mattered and every calorie counted, liver loaf was a household staple. For many families, it was less about enjoyment and more about survival, and the memory of that taste is one many people still haven't shaken. 8. Ring around the tuna. Now, if you thought cabbage and Jell-O was bad, wait until you hear this one. Number 8 is ring around the tuna. This infamous dish combined lemon Jell-O, canned tuna, olives, celery, and hard-boiled eggs, shaped into a perfect ring mold. It was marketed as a modern hostess dish, something to impress your dinner guests. And impress it did, but not in the way they intended. Imagine slicing into a gelatin mold only to hit chunks of fish and olives floating inside. One bite, and the salty tuna clashed with the sweet lemon Jell-O in a flavor combination that can only be described as culinary. Whiplash. Today we laugh at it. But in the 1950s, this was the cutting edge of kitchen creativity. Housewives felt they were showing off their skills by mastering these gelatin molds, and canned tuna was affordable protein. Ring around the tuna was weird, yes, but it was also very, very 1950s. 7. Creamed corn ring. Coming in at number 7 is another molded masterpiece, the creamed corn ring. This was creamed corn mixed with breadcrumbs and eggs, baked in a bundt pan until it came out looking like a golden corn-flavored tire. The hollow center was often filled with peas or meat, making it look like something you'd serve royalty. if that royalty had done something very, very bad. It was visually impressive, no doubt. Housewives wanted dishes that wowed visually, especially at family gatherings or church socials. But taste? Well, let's just say it was a little bland, a little mushy, and entirely unnecessary. Still, it represents the creativity of the era, stretching ingredients into shapes that felt fun and festive, even when the results were more comical than delicious. Number 6 takes us into the world of wartime holdovers, Spam and Limas. During World War II, Spam became America's hero. It was shelf-stable, cheap, and filled soldiers' bellies overseas. But when the war ended, Spam didn't leave. It made itself at home in kitchens across the country. Spam and Limas combined canned ham with canned lima beans, baked together in a casserole that was beige, entirely beige. For families, it was affordable and filling, the kind of one-dish meal you could throw together after work. But for kids, it was a battlefield of mushy beans and salty, rubbery Spam. Still, it carried with it a sense of patriotism and practicality. Spam represented resilience, and families who ate Spam and Limas weren't just having dinner. They were living a piece of America's story. At number 5, ham and Banana Hollandaise. Yes, you heard that right. The recipe was simple. Take ripe bananas, wrap them in ham slices, smother them in mustard and hollandaise sauce, then bake. It was supposed to be elegant, a quirky brunch dish that made you look sophisticated. In reality, it was a clash of sweet, salty, and saucy that left many scratching their heads. The bananas turned soft and almost mushy when baked, while the ham added a smoky saltiness that didn't quite blend. If you grew up in the 1950s, chances are you remember seeing this dish in magazines or on your neighbor's table. It was daring, it was different, and it was unforgettable, though not always for the right reasons. At number 4, we return to the world of mayonnaise and canned fruit with the unforgettable frozen fruit salad. This pastel block of refreshment was made from canned fruit cocktail, whipped cream and mayonnaise, yes, actual mayonnaise, frozen into slices like a bizarre ice cream cake. It looked beautiful, with its pinkish hue and little chunks of fruit, and it was often served at baby showers, weddings, and Sunday lunches. But the taste was a confusing mix of sweet and savory, creamy and icy. Imagine biting into a frozen peach, only to taste mayonnaise at the same time. And yet it was beloved. Families saw it as modern, refreshing, and fun. And even if kids hated it, the presentation alone made it unforgettable. Number 3 is a dish with roots in the military, creamed chipped beef on toast. Soldiers called it SOS, and let's just say the S didn't stand for save. This dish was dried beef in a thick, salty white gravy poured over toast. It was quick, cheap, and filling, and when veterans came home, it found its way into American kitchens. For some, it was comfort food. For others, it was a reminder of barracks, life, and cafeteria meals. The truth is, creamed chipped beef on toast wasn't glamorous, but it kept bellies full. And in the 1950s, that was sometimes all that mattered. At number 2, we've got a dish that perfectly captures America's love affair with canned fruit. Pineapple and ham casserole. Sweet canned pineapple. Chunks were mixed with salty ham, mayonnaise, and sometimes Ritz crackers on top, baked until golden. This dish was meant to feel exotic, a taste of the tropics brought straight to your suburban dining room. It showed up at potlucks, family reunions, and church dinners, where people smiled politely while quietly wondering why dessert and dinner had merged into one confusing casserole. Still, it was popular, and for many families, it's a memory tied to celebration, laughter, and togetherness. And finally, the weirdest of them all, tomato aspic. This was the crown jewel of odd 1950s cuisine. Imagine tomato juice, flavored with vinegar and Worcestershire sauce, thickened with gelatin and chilled into a quivering red mold. Vegetables like celery, onions, or even shrimp floated inside, waiting to horrify dinner guests. Tomato aspic was considered elegant, a symbol of sophistication, Housewives served it proudly, slicing into it with the same pride you'd slice into a holiday turkey. But for most people, the experience of eating cold, jellied tomato juice was unforgettable. And not in the way you'd want. It wasn't just food. It was a statement, and it was a reminder that sometimes progress doesn't always taste good. And there you have it. The top 10 weird foods people ate during the 1950s. From liver loaves to Jell-O salads, these dishes tell us more than just what people ate. They tell us about a generation trying to be modern, creative, and thrifty. They tell us about families gathering around tables, laughing, grimacing, and making memories, even when the meals were questionable. Looking back, these foods may seem bizarre, even a little horrifying. But for many, they carry the taste of childhood, of community, of simpler times. Nostalgia has a funny way of making even liver loaf seem comforting. So I'll ask you, if you had to try one of these dishes, today, which one would you choose? Would you brave the tomato aspic, or maybe just stick with the frozen fruit salad? Let me know in the comments. And don't go anywhere, because next time on the America We Forget, we're hitting the open road to explore the lost diners of Route 66, where the pie was fresh, the coffee never stopped flowing, and the memories taste a whole lot sweeter.